All right, today we are jumping into something, well, something huge. We're talking about a framework that claims balance isn't just a state of mind, but a universal, measurable constant. This is Crippin's theory, and it puts forward this wild idea of a single blueprint that connects the cosmos, our consciousness, and even how we should design our cities.
So let's just start right there with the core question this theory asks. What if that harmony we're all looking for in our lives, that sense of things just being right, wasn't just a metaphor? What if it's actually governed by the same mathematical rules that shape a galaxy or a seashell? That's the big idea we're going to unpack.
And to really get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into 4 parts. First up, we'll decode the central equation. Then we'll see how it supposedly applies to, the entire universe and our own minds. After that, we'll look at how it could literally shape the world we live in. And finally, we'll try to find that single unifying rhythm that's supposed to tie it all together. So let's start with the master key to this whole framework. It all boils down to one, kind of surprisingly simple mathematical formula that tries to put a number on harmony itself.
But first things first, the theory completely redefines what we even mean by balance. This isn't about standing perfectly still like a statue. No. True balance, it says, is an active rhythm. It's a constant dance of tiny adjustments. The theory calls this reciprocity. It's always in motion. And this is the formula that describes that dance, the Atlas T equation. T, for total balance, is simply the product of 3 things. P for proportion, the Greek letter kappa for phase, and R for resonance. Let's say that again. Proportion, phase, and resonance. Okay, so what does that actually mean?
Let's use an analogy. Imagine you're running a marathon. Proportion, that's P, is your ideal stride length. It's the perfect, most efficient geometry for your body. Phase, or kappa, is your pacing. It's that calibrated rhythm you hit that lets you keep going for miles without burning out too fast. And finally, resonance, R. That's your endurance. It's the sustained energy that just keeps you stable and prevents you from hitting a wall. When you get all 3 of those just right, boom, that's total balance, that's T.
Okay, so now that we've got that equation in our back pocket, let's zoom way out. Because the theory claims this exact same blueprint applies at the grandest scales of the universe and, at the same time, inside our own heads.
So on a cosmic level, the theory talks about something called equal force symmetry. Basically, it says that the universe is held in a perfect state of tension. You have the observable reality field. That's all the stuff we can see and measure, the expressive energy, the push. And balancing it out is this conceptual, unobservable black matter field, a stabilizing, containing force, the pull. It's the ultimate cosmic tug of war.
And now, for the really wild part. The theory says that same hunt for geometric balance happens inside our own consciousness. It proposes these 4 primitives, 4 basic shapes that are like the building blocks of our mind. You've got the triangle, which represents clarity and direction. The square is all about stability and structure. The circle is for connection and flow. And the spiral, that's for growth and putting it all together.
So why does any of this matter? Well, the goal is to achieve something called meaning continuity. By understanding this internal geometry, the idea is that you can reduce the static, the noise between your 2 main brain states, your wandering, daydreaming mind, that's the default mode network, and your focused, get-it-done mind, the task-positive network. It's really about getting all the parts of yourself to row in the same direction.
Okay, so we've gone from the cosmos right into our own consciousness. Let's bring it back down to Earth. Literally, this is where the blueprint gets really concrete, where you can actually see it and touch it. In architecture. I mean, you can see these variables from the equation, P, kappa, and R, built right into history. A pyramid is the perfect embodiment of proportion, or P. Just look at its stable, perfect geometry. A ziggurat, with its terraces, its steps, that embodies phase, or kappa. It represents a journey, a calibrated movement through time. And the dome? That's resonance, R. Its very shape is designed to contain and sustain energy, whether it's sound or just the feeling of a crowd.
And it doesn't just stop with individual buildings. The theory scales this up to layout principles for what it calls living ratio cities. Just picture this, cities where the buildings are designed with the golden ratio for natural harmony, where circular transit loops create a smooth, resonant flow of movement, and where the city itself grows outward in a natural spiral. The grand vision is a global network of 12 of these nodes, these balanced cities, all tuned to the same principles.
And that brings us to our final section.
This is where all these different threads, physics, consciousness, architecture, are all supposed to get tied together by one really unexpected unifying idea.
So what's the final piece of this whole puzzle? Well, it comes from somewhere you would never, ever expect. An old, complex-looking chart used by radio engineers. I know, it sounds crazy. Could a technical tool like that really be a map for universal balance?
Okay, stay with me, because this is the big reveal. A Smith chart is what engineers use to find the perfect mix of proportion and phase to get maximum resonance. In other words, the strongest signal out of a radio antenna. Crippin's theory claims that the exact same mathematical geometry that stabilizes energy in a radio antenna is what stabilizes coherence in a human being. The physics are different, but the math, the geometry of balance, is supposedly universal.
And all of this culminates in the theory's most powerful and kind of beautiful image. Remember that global network of 12 balanced cities? Well, the theory proposes there's a 13th node, and that 13th node is the human heart. It's described as the ultimate tuning mechanism, our personal biological connection that synchronizes us to this larger universal rhythm.
Which really just leaves us with one final question to think about for ourselves. If this theory has any truth to it, and all of our lives have a certain rhythm, what geometric pattern defines your balance right now? Are you in a triangle phase, all about focus and direction, or more of a stable, structured square? It's a pattern that might be worth looking for.